This morning, as I was brushing my teeth, random, I know, but stick with me, I noticed something I wasn't doing. I wasn't being present in that moment. Instead, I was thinking about everything I wanted to get done today or forgot to do yesterday. And the more I took note of what was happening, the more I realized that I've been doing this for a long time. My mind is elsewhere while washing the dishes, folding clothes, eating. It seems habitual the more I think about it. To be doing one thing physically, but mentally I'm somewhere else. See, this seemingly obvious discovery is what inspired this conversation because I strongly doubt that I'm the only person who does this. Unfortunately, most people spend months or years doing this before they realize they are. Most people, myself included, struggle to be present. So I want to talk about how we can course correct and a few of the things we should consider doing to encourage mindfulness. But first, let's define what that means, at least the way I'm thinking about it. So mindfulness is a cognitive skill that begins with recognizing that our everyday experience is not very mindful, that we are sleepwalking through much of our daily lives, stumbling from routine to routine while caught up in a whirlwind of cluttered thinking. Mindfulness is about being present, but instead we ruminate over what someone said, what we should have said in their reply, what we failed to do years ago, or what we have to do tomorrow, as an example. And so our minds are doing everything but being mindful. In fact, our minds are filled with clutter, and therefore we miss the opportunity to be present. Now, as I've reflected over my own experiences and struggles with being present, I've uncovered what I believe to be the reason, or at a minimum, a contributing factor into how most people end up in this position. And it has to do with this idea of optimizing or self-optimizing, this need to maximize, to get more done, to do more, but effectively and efficiently. And because we're caught up with trying to figure this out, it makes sense why we find ourselves physically doing one thing, but mentally we're somewhere else. We're distracted. I'll give you a few examples of how this shows up, of how optimization shows up in our life. And the prominent example is in our work. As a content creator, someone who produces YouTube videos for a living and posts on other social media accounts and runs a business alongside being a creator, I have spent countless moments in deep thought trying to figure out how I can optimize my process, how I can maximize my output, improve my quality, and experiment at the same time while also growing the business side of things so I can continue to support and provide for my family. How can I optimize every bit of being a creator, further improve my process? And I believe that many creators find themselves on this hamster wheel as well, where they're trying to optimize their content creation, grow their social accounts, grow their following, build their businesses, and optimize every bit of being a creator, right? And that can be very exhausting. Now, prior to becoming a full-time content creator, I worked in corporate America for 8 years. And I remember being in meetings where the topic of discussion was optimizing, was improving our workflows and our processes. And at the company that I worked for specifically, we had these events that we called RCI events, rapid continuous improvements. And the point of these meetings, these events, was for different members of different teams, from different teams, to come together and discuss a project that they're all involved in and discuss the workflow from A to B, from A to Z, start to finish, and look at the stakeholders and all of the steps involved and figure out how we can optimize our processes and our workflows, how we can refine what we're doing so that way we can maximize our output, but do it effectively and efficiently. Now, I don't want to speak negatively on this idea of optimizing because clearly there's a time and a place for it, whether it's within our traditional working environment or if we're traveling more so of an entrepreneurial or solopreneur pathway and optimizing that side of things as well. So clearly there's a time and a place for it. However, the problem is when we bring this idea into our home life and we try to optimize our existence at the cost of being present. Now, at the beginning of this conversation, I mentioned how there are some things we should consider doing to encourage mindfulness. However, I want to preface this by stating that I'm not perfect. No one is, nor should we place unrealistic expectations on ourselves to be perfect. But it's never too late to course correct. So here's the playbook I'm following, and I encourage you to consider what I'm laying out. Step 1 is removing thinking triggers. Thinking triggers are those things that prevent you from being present and fully engaged in what's happening. And there are 2 areas that I believe are worth considering. The first is our physical environment. I firmly believe that the only path toward mental clarity and mindfulness is one paved with less clutter. Now, this doesn't mean you must become a minimalist, but it does require decluttering the access at the very least. It's crucial that we create space to be present and not distracted. And the second area is our schedule and commitments. The same way we declutter unwanted and unused things in our lives, we must also declutter our commitments if we want to genuinely engage in the opportunity to be present and prioritize what matters. Now, for me, the habit I'll be exercising this year and every year going forward is the habit of subtraction. Because what I've noticed in my own life, from my own track record, is that when I have an overly full schedule and a long list of commitments, I find myself stuck in my head and trying to figure out how I can optimize my existence so I can get everything done that is on my to-do list, so that I can commit to all of those commitments that I have listed on my schedule. And I've noticed, again, in my track record, I've noticed that every time I've done this, it's pulled me further and further away from the things that matter. It's pulling me further and further away from the things I value. And I want to go in the opposite direction. I want to move closer to the things I value. And for me, I know that that means I have to exercise the habit of subtraction. If it's not helping me to prioritize what matters, then does it really need to be on my schedule? Is it really a commitment that I should be prioritizing right now? Step 2 is all about creating space for expression. We're human and it's okay to be human. This means we're not perfect and we shouldn't beat ourselves up every time our mind is elsewhere rather than being present. So instead, I'd much rather we become intentional about creating space to express whatever we're bothered by or thinking about. And there are a few different ways we can approach this. The first is through journaling, and this option presents the opportunity to express ourselves in a private setting and without a filter. The second option is verbally, because sometimes it's just nice to have someone to talk to, right? And then the third option is creatively. So think singing, dancing, painting, writing poetry, or writing songs. However we choose to express ourselves, creating space to do so often and freely is beyond helpful and encouraging at being mindful and being present when it matters. All right, and step 3 is slowing down. Since quitting my corporate job and having to recreate my entire daily routine, I've found myself pushing to fill my days with busyness. Again, this idea of self-optimizing. And this constant on the go has kept my mind occupied elsewhere, my to-do list too long, and has encouraged the behavior of not being present. And maybe you've been doing something similar. So to correct this behavior before I'm years down the line, regretting moments I missed, I'm prioritizing slowing down. And I urge you to do the same. Keep growing in your journey, my friend. Keep learning. And remember to always stay true to you. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.